Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Govberg, and thanks for logging on. Today, we're looking at the Rolex Oyster Perpetual Yacht-Master reference 268655 in 18-karat rose gold. This is the 37mm mid-size Yacht-Master. You can see it and you can buy it on our website, govbergwatches.com. And if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe to our channel and download our app, Govberg On Time, for the latest news, views, reviews, and multimedia of luxury watches. Now, on my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference, the 37mm Yacht-Master has the feel almost of a 50s or 60s, really a 50s early Rolex Submariner, crossbred with the new Serichrome bezel Oysterflex Yacht-Master 40. If you were to take the 40mm version of this watch and crossbreed it with something like a 6200, I feel like you would wind up with this watch, with traditional case proportions, a wonderfully compact fit, and a close slung, flat-fitting, flush-to-the-skin stance. This is a very versatile watch. It's a historical throwback in other ways too, which we'll explore in a moment, but incredibly comfortable on the skin. It's nice and compact, only 40mm from lug to lug. This one won't overlap the edges of a smaller wrist. I would say even if your wrist is as small as 13.5 centimeters in circumference, you're going to be able to wear this one securely with style and without any lug overlap beyond the edges of your wrist. Now, in terms of thickness, very compact, only 10.5mm. Because it does have sort of a cup or bowl-shaped caseback, when you strap it down to your wrist, it nestles in even lower, and with a sloped and not really cantilevered or outcropping bezel, a sleeve will easily slide over this most formal of Rolex sports watches, so you can wear this one with formal attire, tight sleeves or cuffs, with no second thoughts. Now, of course, one of the highlights of this watch, and one of the real talking points of Baselworld 2014 when it debuted, is the Oysterflex Bracelet. Now, you can see Rolex refers to this as a bracelet for reasons that aren't immediately apparent, but underneath the natural rubber, it is natural vulcanized rubber, there's actually a band of titanium nickel that runs continuously down to the clasp. Thus, Rolex refers to the Oysterflex, their name, not mine, as a bracelet, and it is matched with a beautifully milled out Everose 18-karat rose gold clasp, beautifully made. It closes with a snick and a snap, very secure on the wrist. It's linked to a brilliant setup. The Everose gives way to a matte black with a nice character line molded in to give it visual strength, and on the underside it's just as smart. You can see there's a bellows underneath that serves two purposes. One, it locates the watch on the wrist, keeping it secure from movement, and two, it acts as a little bit of a relief channel to allow moisture, heat, grit, sweat to move away from the wrist on a hot day. Now, it is a 100-meter water-resistant sports watch, and of course it is designed for yachtsmen, so you're going to want that moisture relief cleverly engineered into the Oysterflex. But the case, the bezel, the dial, that's the real highlight here. The case, of course, like the clasp, like the bezel, Everose alloy, Rolex's own proprietary alloy. It's a high percentage platinum rose gold, so despite exposure to sunlight, the elements, chlorine, and pools, it's not going to fade to yellow gold over time. That's the advantage of Everose. Now, moving inboard, you can see the bezel is definitely a breed apart, even by ceramic Rolex standards. Now, we're used to seeing the metallic filled or well polished, high polish Serichrome bezels on the GMT, on the Sub C, but this is a different treatment. Now, you can see that the base is a sort of matte black, and each of the relieved indices or Arabic numerals, as well as the index at 12, is high polished. Now, naturally, this being a Yacht-Master, we're not going to be using it as life-saving equipment or as a backup for a dive timer, so for convenience, timing whatever you may please, especially the legs of a match within a regatta, you can move the bezel both ways to align with the minute hand and create a impromptu 60-minute chronograph. You can also see that inboard, the dial is finished not in the more traditional modern Rolex gloss, but in a matte finish, and it provides outstanding contrast and definitely an upscale sheen in combination with these oversized applied rose gold indices and the gilt style printing of Rolex and the marquee, the 5-point coronet at 12 o'clock. Naturally, the hands, likewise rose gold. They're superimposed right now over an evocative red on black print, the name Yacht-Master, that is a little bit of a throwback to the old Submariners, the old red subs from the 1680 series. It's a little bit of a vintage look revived here. Now the watch does feature a unique movement to accompany a unique case, bezel, and strap. This watch actually features the caliber 2236. Now the 2236 marked the debut, formerly in the ladies' Pearlmaster, of the Soloxy silicon amagnetic hairspring in the Rolex in-house caliber family. So this is the first sports watch application of Soloxy. Now the advantage is that it's not anti-magnetic like Parachrom Blue, it is amagnetic, simply not affected by magnetic fields that you may experience in a wired-up office or home theater environment. Now, another refinement is that the power reserve moves from the usual Rolex 45, 48, sometimes 50 in simple movements to a more robust 55 hours. And of course it has all of the modern Rolex refinements, including the superlative chronometer timing standard. So it passes the COSC chronometer standard, and then it's cased up. The movement is cased up after it gets its COSC certificate, and Rolex regulates it so it runs no worse than -2 + 2 seconds per day. Of course, full balance bridge to attenuate any shock-induced timing variations, free sprung. It does have bidirectional perpetual winding, as Rolex calls it. You can't hear the rotor, you can't feel the rotor. Pull the crown, it hacks the balance, stops the seconds hand for precise synchronization to a known accurate reference time, and of course it has a quick set function for the date should it run down or need to be corrected during irregular length months. This is a beautiful watch. In terms of proportions, it's a little bit of a throwback, but in terms of materials, everything from the bezel to the case to the strap itself, it's definitely a watch looking forward. You can see this 21st century Rolex Yacht-Master, reference 268655 in rose gold, on our website, govbergwatches.com.